Hello and welcome to another day of guidance. I guess I'm calling this the morning Mosey, and my name is Andrew. I'm a certified mindfulness meditation coach, certified through the Unified Mindfulness System. You can find out more about at unifiedmindfulness.com. I am many things, but what I am not is a licensed mental health professional, therapist, social worker, etc. So, I don't really know what we're going to do today. So I'm kind of thinking about that right now. Um, I'm thinking about doing maybe a little bit of a breath counting meditation, but I could be coaxed into another idea if someone has something they want to post in chat. So if you're in North America, well, I guess in the United States, maybe this is only the case. This is the day that retailers are finally out of the red and into the black. Hence the Black Friday thing. I used to, in my youth, work at a few different locations for malls, and I did not appreciate this day very much. It was usually a bit hectic and such. And when I was doing my time working at malls, it wasn't even as crazy as it is now, or has been. So I guess this year it's not going to be as crazy. So I'm looking for, at least for me, a meditation around something that will bring a little bit of relaxation and ease. So I think that's something we'll go with. But if you're tuning in the past, you can always leave a comment on ideas that you can have. I know I've got a number of folks that are tuning in after these things are recorded. So just a plug. If you're listening and think, oh, if I was there live, I would have had a great suggestion for you. Well, it's okay. You can always make suggestions. All right. So we'll sit for about 15 minutes. And what I think I'll do so these are contrast sits, and the hope is that by contrasting doing something with doing nothing, you'll begin to find a balance of the sort of in between. You can think of, Shinzen Young will talk about expansion and contraction, sort of the alternation of those things, sort of birthing the world around us. That's our sensory experience. And I think that's a significant influence from a Rinzai Zen teacher that he translated for a number of years, maybe it was a decade or more, named Joshu Sasaki Roshi. And so it's this idea of the sort of, you can think of between those, between sort of expansion and contraction, there's sort of a quality that brings about what's going on in the world, the sensory world. So in playing around with these contrast sits, we're sort of, or my hope is that you'll be able to find that space for you sort of in between the two. And often it's a moving target. So it may be one level of do something quality, since we're changing that up constantly. And maybe nothing is not available to you on a regular basis, but it's something that you can touch back into as your practice, as you go through your practice. You come back to it and you come back to it. The somewhat irony of do nothing, at least in my experience, has been you need to do some amount of something to train your concentration, clarity, and equanimity to the point where you are able to do nothing, which is kind of a funny thing for that to be true. So if you listen to the 10% Happier podcast, there's a Korean Zen master named, what is his name? Haemin Sunim. And he makes a quip maybe about 25 minutes in about how it takes a bit of training and practice to get to the point where you can really like kind of let go. So what we'll do, as always, you can always fill in the something part of this sort of meditation Mad Lib with your own practice. So if you don't like what I've chosen for the day, that's always an option for you as well. We have maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 sort of regulars. So it's not like the Do Nothing Project where you may be coming for the community. But you're always welcome to sort of switch it up. Yeah. So what did I say we're gonna do? Well, let's play with feel, and then you can have some options within feel. I'll offer those. We'll sit for about 15 minutes. We usually spend about a minute and a half to 2 minutes sort of settling in, and then about a 50-50 from that point. So about 6 minutes in each of our areas. So as we settle in, we want to adopt a posture that helps us to be both relaxed and alert. Cribbing from Shinzen, Shinzen Yang, which I always want to do, as he's the creator of the system. You can always sort of, the notion for Shinzen is to stretch up and to settle in. So that's his very concise way of setting up this beginning part of a meditation. So for me, I've always done a little variations of sort of stretching up and settling in and being kind of methodic. Over time, I've come up with what I do is a little bit of a checklist. And I think I've mentioned this in the past, but just because I like to repeat myself, I go through 3 things when I'm settling in: posture. So I've set up my posture. So again, we want to cultivate a state that helps us to be both relaxed and alert. And the touchstones for that really are to be upright, sitting in a dignified way. So posture is the first thing I check in with. Where I might be holding tension. So where am I contracted? So the second thing I look for is tension, and we all hold stress in different areas. So maybe forehead, around the eyes, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders. So progressively check in and see. It's often the case when you notice tension, it will relax. And then finally, using the downward motion of the exhale. So breathing in slow through the nose. Breathing out slow. You can purse your lips to do what's called straw breathing, to purse your lips and slow down the exhale, or you can breathe out through the nose. And what we're doing is another way of describing deep breaths. So often you hear people say, take a deep breath, and what people will do is they'll pull the air in very fast and fill the lungs up very quickly, and when we do that, we're not really getting a rhythm of low part of the lungs. We really just fill the lungs up really quickly. So breathing in slow allows us to fill the lower portions of the lungs. So slow and low is our tempo. And can stay right here in just this sort of open presence, if that's a desire for you. So you can stay here, or you can come back to this spot. So consider it a mental waypoint. And for our first part, our do something, let's consider exploring the body. So a bit of choose your own adventure. So you may want to use physical body, the sensations of the body sitting, the gravity and groundedness of the body. And you can use the label feel. So noting the groundedness of the body, soaking the attention in and labeling feel. Or maybe there are emotional sensations available in the body. We can notice and soak our attention into those as well, label them feel. Or we could use a technique that you'll find often for folks just beginning in meditation, and that's to note and count the breaths. There are a number of different strategies. So if the breath is available to you, meaning that the breath doesn't seem to bring up any difficult emotions or sort of disrupt your concentration, you can use, there's a number of counting strategies, but let's just keep it simple and we'll do 1 to 10. So breathing in, breathing out, exhale, 1, breathing in, breathing out, 2, up to 10, and then starting over. So explore that for a bit, whichever you've chose, body sensations or just feeling the body or this option of breath counting. So if you chose to count the breaths, part of the benefit of using accounting sequences, you may find that you made it to 15. So you counted beyond 10. So that's a sort of sign of losing a bit of the concentration on the object. No big deal. Just begin again. You can always start at 1. Or you may breathe in and breathe out and totally forget what number you were on. Again, an opportunity to bring a light, no big deal attitude. And you can start again at 1. So again, a bit of a classic training if it's available to you. uncomfortable, you can to a more grounding practice. So open the eyes, focus on things around you, sounds, or whatever your favorite object or home base might be. Continue to explore that for a bit. So Shinzen has a little practice slogan about choosing techniques. So if noting practices make you feel racy, then do nothing. If doing nothing makes you feel spacey, then try noting. So as we shift into the do nothing practice here, if you're feeling racy, then shifting into do nothing is a good option. So allow your attention to be free range, go wherever it would like to go, allowing whatever happens to happen, noticing if we're controlling where our attention is and letting that go. Explore, do nothing. So when we let go of our technique and we drop it, sometimes there's a rest that becomes available. So it's sort of like when the clouds part, the mountain that was always there is revealed. And sometimes dropping the technique can have the opposite effect. So see if you can bring attitude and stance of interest and curiosity. What is this? What is this like? To just be, sit here. What's it like to have no technique as technique? So in your own time, connect to your surroundings. Move as you may wish to as you're connecting. Shoulder shrugs are kind of a go-to for me. So in the unified mindfulness system, we will almost always start out with the see, hear, feel technique, which in theory is a way for you to meet all of sensory experience. So given those rough categories that we are able to abstract our experience into the see, hear, and feel categories for vision, mental imagery, sounds, mental talk, and then physical body, emotional body. That's often our starting place. And that has some benefits because it doesn't have anything to do with focusing on the breath, which can be disruptive for a good percentage of people, or maybe just as an object that people don't connect to. At the same time, it means that by starting at see, hear, feel, we sort of skip what a lot of people may use as their primary practice for the first 6 months or a year of meditating. And so sometimes I'll get questions and I realize those questions are a kind of an indication that folks didn't start out kind of the way that I did, which was with sort of a breath counting practice. So even in Soto Zen, when you're taught to do Zazen, you'll often be taught in at least how meditation instructions were given to me when I first started, was around counting breaths. So there's a lot of different strategies, as I pointed out, like 1 to 10 being, and then starting over being very, very common. In the old school Buddhist world, Theravada practices, you'll often get variations of the counting. So you'll count sort of in a snake order where you'll count up to 10 and then back down to 1 and then up to 10 and then back down to 1. Or sometimes when you're starting out, you'll get a 5 count to 5 or 1. I got instructions around counting to 7, which was just an odd number to sort of keep me on my toes. So for folks that if you've never done breath counting and that focus is available to you, you may find yourself getting very settled and begin to have a little bit of that feeling of one-pointed awareness. Or you could not feel that, right? So it could be, pleasant or unpleasant or both or neither. Really would be those sort of situations. So I offer that just as a point of throwing something in here as an out, not knowing what I was going to do today. So thank you for at least one faithful viewer and anyone who's watching this after the fact. So if you're sleeping in on this consumerism holiday, I think this is also Indigenous Peoples Day, but I don't know that for sure. So anyway, thank you for your practice. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the folks that have been tuning in during November. Again, I'm playing around with doing this in December as well, and there's a real good chance that we'll try to look at January for sure as well. I believe there's going to be a 10% happier challenge to start the first 21 days. So that's a very common thing that the TPH app has been doing. So yeah. And then next week, back to 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Mountain. I think that's 9 a.m. Alaska, maybe. So have a good weekend. See you next week.